because this not about to say could sound very, very controversial and sound like rubbish. The cure to cancer is in the bush. The cure to malaria, headache, all those things in the bush. If you expect that God can send thunder to fire the prophets of Baal just like that, why is that when the native doctor in my village sends Amadioha to fire some people that he too doesn't like, it's a bad thing? Where they start your history from is just some 100 and something years ago. The general religion as a whole might be shady. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's your man Cookboy. Welcome to another episode of the Good Living Podcast. I've been thinking and I've been deep in thought recently. And before, don't judge me, right? Because this not about to say could sound very, very controversial and sound like rubbish. But I've been thinking about my origin, our origin generally as Nigerians/Africans and everything that has happened. When you research different things, you see archives, letters, documentaries about things that happened in Europe and America in the 1770s, in the 1600s, 1500s, stuff like that. Not just America and Europe, even in Greece, even in the Arab world, they have records of their history written down somewhere, or at least stories that are told, that are passed down from generation to generation, and you can see that this is history. When did Napoleon Bonaparte live? When did Alexander the Great live? All these people were real people that existed, and their stories exist, right? And then when I now think about myself, how far back can I really tell the story of my own people? Because if I'm talking about my own people now, for example, I might be talking about being Igbo, because I was Igbo before I was even Nigerian. So even that one, I cannot tell the story back beyond maybe how my great grandfather worked with slave traders or something like that. Slave traders. Why is it that when you think back to your origin and how it begins, even in school, even in the educational sector that your parents are working hard to pay money to educate you, where they start your history from is just some 100 and something years ago. 1914, Nigeria was amalgamated. They carried the western region and the eastern region and joined them together and all that fucking bullshit. Where is your actual history of the kingdoms that existed in this place? Because, like it or not, human beings are human beings. There is civilization. Wherever I see human beings, they form a civilization. If this whole country now burns down, and something happens and everywhere is scattered, the small nucleus of people who find themselves together, before you know it, there's a community there. There's a leadership. There's an organization. You get. And so, as human beings are scattered all around the planet, there were kingdoms in different places. Now, some kingdoms were more popular than the others, and some were more innovative than the others. And is it wrong for me to think that the more innovative ones, being the white Europeans, are the ones now that decided, wait, we have this cute, nice organization going on here. We have invented weapons that can scare people because we can take their life with it. Why don't we use these weapons now? Look, I'm just throwing out thoughts out there. Right? I'm not implying anything. I'm just thinking. It made me think. Why don't we go out to see more places we can put under us? Because if we have more places under us, then we can have more people to work for us and, bring more food, make us more money, make us live better than we are living now, and even expand more and see how much of this earth we can actually conquer. And that's why it's just that thinking that gave rise to a lot of the empires that we heard of old. So if that's the thinking, who is to say that is not what brought these people to our own land? Because when you're hearing of Jaja Opobo was not something that existed in the 1990s or in the 1980s or even 1920s after amalgamation. The small stories of our ancient histories that we are hearing, Queen Amina them and all those things, happened before any Lord Lugard came to this country. But we don't even have any of those stories. And how many of those stories have you even passed down to your children and the younger ones around you? Some people, the only thing they know about Jaja Opobo is Jaja Opobo. The only thing they know about Queen Amina is Queen Amina. They don't even know anything else. And this Ajay Bobo is not from, let me not go and miss here now. And Queen Amina from Kano, I think. Some people don't even know anything about their own self, their own origin, their own state, where they came from. Or let me just say their own tribe, as Igbo, as Hausa, as Yoruba, as Italo, as Panchin, as whatever. You don't even know like stories from what your great grandfathers did. And they did things, I'm sure. Because a lot of great things really happens, even in life, even today, yesterday. Some fantastic things happen that will be worth stories in a few decades' time. But none of those stories exist because somebody thought to come here and erase them and give us something new. Now, when they tell you what happened, you start talking about 2255 BC. That's what they showed you. And we are human beings, and human beings are organisms just like cats, just like dogs, just like anything. You fear death, you have emotions, you have love, and all these other things. And you can be convinced to believe something. There's an experiment. They don't sound like a broken record in case a lot of you have heard this. But there's an experiment that was done. They put monkeys in a cage and they put banana at the top of the cage. When a monkey tries to get the banana, they will sprinkle water, heavy water on top all the other monkeys. And then that other one too will come down. He will not get the banana. If another monkey tries again, water. So over time, any monkey that wants to even attempt to even go and get a banana, the beating he will receive from his counterparts, So over time, when they started giving birth to the second generation, they started giving birth to more and more monkeys. So whenever any monkey wants to climb, the old monkeys that know how far will beat the younger one. Shouldn't go up there. Don't take that banana. Wait, let them feed you the one that they are feeding you. And until the first generation of monkeys all died off, you now had new monkeys that had never been sprayed water before for attempting to take the banana. But even in that generation, any of them that tried to go and take the banana, the rest will beat him because that's what they learned from their elders. There is no water, it's just an experiment. You can actually tell that if you ignore the water thing and get the banana, nothing will happen to you. It's an experiment. But it's just to show you the way the mind of the animal thinks. And who is to say that it is not what they've done to us? Because I was not alive in 1914. None of you were. Oh shit. So in in 3025, nobody will be alive too. Well, it's supposed to happen like that. Anyway, who is to say that they did not come and use some kind of fear, some kind of thing, like the way they poured water? I don't know what the water in our own case was, but they used something to tell us that this is what it should be, and whatever you were doing before is nonsense. And then because of that, those people taught their children those things. Who taught their children? Who taught us? And now, if I stand up and say Christianity is just a tool that they use to enslave us, somebody would they want to finish my life. But the evidences are there that the people who brought this religion are the same people that enslaved us. It's the same white people. It's the same time they came. It's not as if one set came and they were doing their thing, teaching us the word of God and this, and that set now came and started enslaving us. And then this set that was teaching us God things started fighting that set that was just no. They came together. Oh. Some came and were doing church thing. Some came and were packing resources and were carrying black people as slaves and servants. At least this one is something I know. Even the white people, they will not deny it. This is something that happened. So why are you trusting the people that brought this thing and taught your fathers? Because as good a Christian as your father can be, or my father is, the person that taught him Christianity is his father. Like I said in one episode, life is principle. You can be anything you want. If this my same father was raised by an Arab man that is a conk Muslim, this man with his same facial and physical features would have been a conk Muslim Arab man if he was raised like that. And it's the upbringing. That is it. There's no difference. There's nothing special. So if you don't allow yourself to think outside the box and just ask questions and question everything, You might just live and die on the whims and caprices of somebody else's plan for your life. The way somebody wants planned that your life should go is exactly how your life would go when you are an independent being on your own. And that's not how I intend my life to go. And for those people who I love, which you are included, that's not how I intend for your life to go. If you open your mind and you ask all the questions and you are convinced that the Christianity that they brought and the stories that they tell you in the Bible and all of those things are the only thing that you need to know about, and then nothing else, then fine. As long as you're okay with it, you don't have any itching in your heart that you're being lied to, then it's all good. But if you fear that you're going to find out something that is going to bother you, and that is why you don't even want to think about it or talk about it, then you should probably just keep your mouth shut and allow people who want to seek the truth to seek it and probably find it. But there's a proverb that I also heard recently where it said, if you see the man who is looking for the truth, follow him. If you see the man who claims he has found the truth, don't trust him. Because whenever somebody finds something, he will see how he can benefit him and how he can manipulate it to his advantage before he will even share it to anybody else. And I think that's what anybody that discovered us did. That's what I genuinely think. And this is a disclaimer. I am not saying Christianity is false or is a lie or none of those things happen or there is no Jesus or none. That's not what I'm saying at all. At all. I'm just saying, where is your history? Where is our history? Where is who we are as people? We are we. You get. If I cannot answer those questions, then I cannot answer what anybody else is telling me. I want to know from, because there are books. Sheun Kuti, for example, a good advocate of Pan-Africanism, he's saying that he knows the history. He can tell you things that happened before, that predate 1914, that predates the amalgamation of this country. And he will give you books. He has recommended a lot of them on his life before that I've seen. I was too stupid to write them down, but I'm going to go back and look for them. And you will see some of those things, and you might actually learn one or two things about your country, and then find out if the things they are telling you is true. I have this thinking that every colonization and every kingdom had who they attributed the spiritual part of, how let's say it, their existence to, right? So why is it that? Because if that's not the case, then tell me, why is it that most of the Arabs are Muslims, right? Even in Africa are traditionalists, but for some reason now traditionalism has been turned into a negative thing. I don't even know whose idea that was, because if you expect that God can send thunder to fire the prophets of Baal just like that, why is that when the native doctor in my village sends Amadioha to fire some people that he too doesn't like, it's a bad thing? But the one that this other prophet did in your Bible is not a bad thing. In our Bible, I'm a Christian, it's not a bad thing. These are the questions that I have that just make me rethink certain things. And then it's not even helping matters that the pastors that I'm seeing around me are all scam. I'm not even sugarcoating. There is always evidence every day that the pastor I see here is doing something that is not just adding up to even what the book itself. That's even a different matter. Oh. The general religion as a whole might be shady, and then that one will drop it aside. But inside that religion too, the people that are now practicing it as and acting as figureheads for us are now doing things that are not really aligning with what is even in the book that they claim to take references from. It's now just all very scary, and Christians are popping out of nowhere. There are conspiracy theories also that the Bible has been what they call it, adulterated, has been tampered with, and there are very different even healing formulas that were there, but pharmaceutical industries in those days saw an opportunity to take out those healing formulas and those things so that they can dish you out what they make for your health to give you temporary solutions, but things that will damage you eventually in the long run. That's why herbal medicine is always good, but the thing is difficult to find a quick, a a trustworthy, herbalist, because the cure to cancer is in the bush, the cure to malaria, headache, all those things in the bush. People that lived before our times lived longer than us. My grandpa died at 91. I know his own father lived over 91. And you know that in the olden days, people lived longer than they live now. And what were they using before? At least in this our continent, these herbs they were using to treat themselves. Who says that fever were not catching people in those days. People had fever and they had different sicknesses. But now you're hearing of diseases like cancer that just came out of nowhere. With civilization and modernization comes new diseases. Why? Why is nobody asking those questions? It's actually fact that things like burger, shawarma, processed meat, and stuff like that are not good for you. Cheese, excess intake is not good for you. It's fact though. But nobody is warning you about it because they're selling it to you. But when you have cancer, oh, you will pay chemo money. Well, like I said, I just had a thought. But if you can answer my question and really like just help me out here, then I'll be open to hear. DMs are open. Comment section is open. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Good Living Podcast. See you next episode. Peace out.